Golf's a tough game, and for most of us it's not about hitting perfect shots, it's about hitting better shots more often. This series is all about you, the average golfer, and helping you build the most forgiving bag in 2025. Clubs that make golf easier, more consistent, and a whole lot more fun.
So far in this series we've looked at drivers, we've looked at fairway woods, we've looked at hybrids, and we've looked at irons, and finally we've come up what is the most forgiving golf bag for average golfers in 2026. It's going to help you find more fairways, find more greens, and finally bring that handicap down. Now this is not just about choosing the right gear because of its performance, it's about choosing the right gear and what impact it has on your mentality. Because often if you stand over a shot and you've got a club in hand that you've got confidence in, that can make a massive difference as well. As we know, confidence breeds confidence. We love to stand over the tee, we love to feel like we've got the right club in hand. And ultimately what that will do is breed consistency. And that is ultimately, again, what we're trying to do when we're reducing scores. The more consistent you can get, finding fairways, finding greens, the idea is that you will therefore start to lower your handicap. So choosing the right gear has many more implications than just the performance of the club. So the question is, what is in this bag and what makes it so forgiving? Nice easy swing into the middle of the green. 2 putt in regs and we walk off with a par 3. One of the key things I've learned throughout this series is that forgiveness is not about necessarily hitting better shots, it's about reducing bad ones. And when you find a heel or toe of an iron that's perhaps a better iron, a better player's iron than you should be in your hands, then you're perhaps going to suffer. And that's not what happens with, let's call them game improvement irons, or in this case maybe player's distance irons. Because what you're looking for from your iron is you want help in that both heel and toe region, because that's where you're going to hit more often than not as an average golfer, as a real golfer. And what we've looked at in this series is identifying the fact that game improvement irons help in those strikes significantly. If you're hitting more balls onto greens, into more fairways, then they mightn't always be perfect, but you're certainly going to get away with it more often than not with this type of iron. And over a course of a round, 3 or 4 bad shots that you still get away with are going to start to help reduce that handicap. So you've really got to choose that iron carefully and making sure you're getting all the forgiveness possible in that iron set, and making golf just that little bit easier. So if you didn't catch the episode that covered irons, then I suggest you go back and watch it, but in brief, the principle was very simple. If you're choosing an iron, the first thing you need to do, perhaps with all these products, is drop the ego and select something that's best suited to your game. And what that probably means is a thicker sole, a thicker top line, and an overall profile that is just not as easy on the eye as perhaps you might like. But I've got to say yet again that there's been massive improvements in this genre in terms of the style, in terms of the look, in terms of the finish. So those things are going to help you. The bigger mass, the wider sole allows CG to be a little bit further back, helps you launch the ball. Great ball speeds across the club face from these kind of clubs. Again, those left and right of centre misses are going to be helped out substantially. So drop the ego, have a look into that game improvement genre, have a look at the looks on the likes of this Vice Golf 02 iron, and I'm sure you can come up with something that looks good, sounds good, feels good, but perhaps overall performs really good. Roll out, roll out. Wow, I wouldn't do that in a medal on a Saturday. The one good thing about these irons as well, and I'm talking about game improvements as a genre now, is that idea that there's a compromise being made in terms of sound and in terms of feel. And I definitely think that is something, again, that is something of the past. These modern irons, these modern game improvement irons have overcome that issue, and as you can see, sort of feel around these greens with a pitch and wedge in hand is plentiful. So not a reason for you to ignore these irons any longer. So that's irons done with, but what you've got to do is make sure you end with an iron that you're comfortable with and you can get the best performance out of. Again, go and watch the other video, we talk about that in detail. But for me, the longest iron in the bag that I carry is a 6 iron. Where do I go next? Well, it's hybrids. Hybrids offer so much versatility, so many benefits to average golfers that they've got to be the next club in the bag. Oh, that's just so nice and so easy. Yeah, couldn't have placed that any better. Hybrids for me are the most underrated, undervalued club in anyone's golf bag. First of all, if you go in the route I've gone, which is a 4 and 5 hybrid in the bag, they offer loft. They also offer a lot of mass in the head profile. Those two things combined mean that the ball launches very easily, and for slower swing speeds, and certainly you've seen from there, that was as easy as it gets. They're going to help with launch, they're going to help with spin, and they're going to carry the ball a lot further than you would with the equivalent iron. All those attributes of the way in which a hybrid is put together are there to help golfers, not to hinder them. And they will act very differently than the iron equivalent, in my opinion. They're generally coupled with a graphite shaft, which again is hugely important that you get correct when selecting your hybrid or any of these clubs you see in this video. But everything that's packed into this hybrid is helping me. Like I said, that loft element, I've gone with a 5 hybrid and a 4 hybrid. I could quite easily go into sort of 6s, maybe 7, maybe even 8 hybrid, because they make the game so easy. So when you're putting your next bag together, make sure that that iron is stopping at a point where you're getting the benefits from it. Don't duplicate. 4, 5 and 6 irons generally perform very similar for a lot of average golfers with relatively slow or medium to average swing speeds. Make sure you identify that and get yourself stepped up into a club that's going to help the gapping into that next one into the bag. And generally for me, I find that's going to be hybrids. There is of course that kind of versatility element that you will get from hybrids that you wouldn't necessarily get from the same equivalent lofted iron. So for in and around the greens, it just adds a little extra dimension that you might make use of.
All products in this series are from Vice Golf, and they have done an incredible job of making high quality products at affordable prices for average golfers. Vice Golf aim to make golf accessible, injecting tour quality golf gear into every golfer's game. Visit the Vice Golf website now and make the most of their Black Friday deals. They tell me now is the best time to buy.
Oh, how nice is that? That's a golf shot, and I'm even watching that one down, admiring it. So we've got hybrids in the bag. Where do we go next? Well, a lot of people will jump into that 3-wood, and everybody knows I'm not overly keen on a 3-wood. The reasons being, I want loft. Loft is always your friend throughout all of this video. It can help massively. So when I'm choosing fairway woods, I'm really leaning towards those 4, in this case that was a 5-wood, and then into a 7-wood. 5 and 7 is a great combination because they offer, in my opinion, again, a great deal of versatility in the bag and a great deal of help. What you're seeing there was a very high launching ball for a 5-wood. Again, that's because this club has been designed to do exactly that. It's helping out with the slower swing speed again. Its whole mass and the way it's been put together will be a lot of weight at the back of the club to help launch the ball, to help spin the ball. Don't be afraid of spin. It can also help you a lot, particularly with that slower swing speed, in getting that ball airborne for longer. It's going to improve your carry distances. But more importantly, it's going to help with that slower swing speed, do things that quite honestly you can't do with 3-wood. You're not going to get that ball flight, you're not going to get the carry distance, and overall, in my opinion, most golfers struggle with that lack of loft. So once again, it's pretty much the same principles. You're looking at graphite shafts, you're looking at slightly shorter shafts than a 3-wood as well. These offer versatility in the bag, they offer plenty of forgiveness, and they launch the ball high. The principles are exactly the same. Getting the ball down fairway onto that short grass, in my opinion, is ultimately going to lead to lowering your scores and lowering your handicap. Now, one thing that's been interesting throughout this series is I generally ask for comments from you and what kind of bag you've got made up. And a lot of you are suggesting that you've kind of made these changes this year. So a lot of lofted fairways, a lot of lofted hybrids, and again, either mini driver or shorter driver shafts, all the kind of things we've suggested over the perhaps last 2 years that could be of real help. So it's great to see that, and I love reading when kind of a bag has been impacted by anything you might have seen on the channel in terms of your setup, and particularly when you've had success with it. But I also think it's good for your fellow golfer. They kind of read it and say, do you know what, this clown might be actually making some sense here, and it could apply to my game as well. So the clown being me, by the way, not the person who makes the comment, I should clarify that. So get in that comment section as ever and let me know. Always when you get involved in that interaction, it's greatly appreciated for you taking your time out to do that. So anyway, let's get back on the course and see what's next. So the final club in the bag is, in my opinion, what could be the most important that you get right, because ultimately it can be the most detrimental. That's on drive. This club is extremely impressive, and I won't talk about the specific driver because I want to talk about the specific loft of the driver, because that is what is key. Ultimately, throughout this whole series, one thing that sort of springs to mind is about the speed and tempo of your swing. And it's not about swinging harder or faster, it's perhaps just being a little bit smarter. And choosing the right club with the right loft has been a sort of a theme throughout all of these selections. And it's no different with driver. In fact, like I have to say, I think it's imperative that you get this choice right. This driver is 12.5 degrees. That doesn't mean the ball is going to launch into orbit, but it does mean that it's perhaps going to help us launch the ball higher than we would with perhaps the sort of 9 degree, 10 degree driver that is normally in most people's bags. And I think, again, it's that idea of dropping ego and having a realization that this kind of loft was often aimed towards almost a senior golfer. Maybe a ladies golfer would be a 12 degree driver head. That idea has got to pass. You've really got to change the attitude, and I think manufacturers have as well, because this type of driver, no, it's not the longest, but distance isn't everything. It's by far from it. You've got to find fairways, and you've got to help you get that ball up in the air and down range. And to do that, you need this kind of loft on your driver. I do think that we as golfers have got some major issues in that we follow what tour players do. 9 degree drivers would be the norm for them. They swing it probably twice as fast as what you or I do. It has no bearing on golf for real golfers that play every day. High handicap golfers, mid handicap golfers, even that low area, again, generally speaking, this kind of driver with this kind of loft is going to help. So that's me. We've gone from irons into hybrids, into fairway woods, into driver, all with similar concepts, similar themes, building what is the most forgiving golf bag for 2026. And if you really want to drop that handicap, drop the ego to go with it, and start choosing some of these clubs, and I reckon you might have some success. Finally, just a massive thank you to Vice Golf for sponsoring this series. Their product is featured throughout. You've seen a little advert that we've run in between it all. If you want to check out some of their product, the link will be in the description below. That's me, I'm done, because yet again, it looks like the rain is about to appear over Holywell Hill. I'll see you soon.